sights to see, rolling hills or city streets, ocean to ocean and all in between. It's out there just waiting on you and me. Take it in, we got no plans.
We don't heal anyone here. You know, this is not a physically healing place. This is an emotionally healing place. This is an emotionally empowering place.
Look alive, 'cause while I was waiting for you, paradise is on the other side of the road. We don't know, take it along. You and I were born to roll.
This place of life and this place of joy and this place of happiness was founded on tragedy and sadness and loss.
The idea of the Victory Junction came along with Adam, my grandson.
Adam and I had ridden motorcycles, because that's what I do. And we had gone and we had been at a charity event in Daytona Beach, Florida, called Biketoberfest. And we went to a little camp called Boggy Creek, which was part of Paul Newman, at the time, his hole-in-the-wall gang group of camps. And we went there and it was just a magical place. Kids from all over the state of Florida and southern Georgia, they would come there with serious medical needs, with serious medical conditions, and it was just so much fun to see these kids, to see the camp, to see where it was at, what it did. Adam was probably 16, 17, maybe 18 years old at the time, and Adam said, why don't you guys just build a camp, man? Why don't we build a camp? And we laughed about it and we talked about it, and it was a hot topic for about 5 or 6 months, but then life gets in the way and you put it on a back burner and you forget all about it. And in 2000, in a racing accident in New Hampshire, Adam lost his life. And as soon as that happened, the camp thing came back.
So I was actually the spokeschild in the first camper. I actually got involved with camp when I was 5. The Petties found me in the hospital at Brenner's Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem. During treatment and everything, I didn't have any of my hair. I just went through surgery to remove my tricep. And so my mom, she really was like, this is going to help Haley. And to this day, she thinks that camp saved my life.
Camp is for chronically serious little kids that can't go to other camps. We've got a hospital, don't cost the kids anything. You know, they come from California, we'll fly them in, don't cost anything. Mostly, we looked at taking care of North Carolina, part of Virginia, part of Tennessee, and South Carolina. So we sort of had a section, but we get them from all over.
When we did our needs assessment for, I think it was for 6 or 8 different diseases at that time, asthma, diabetes, again, certain forms of cancer, there were almost 470-some thousand kids between the ages of 6 and 16 in that area that could benefit from a camp like this, which blew me away, which totally blew me away, that there were that many kids in the state of North Carolina and as I say, South Carolina and Virginia. So I think from the very beginning, once we learned that number, our goal has always been to have camp every week. You know what I mean? Because even if we have camp every week, we're never gonna reach that number. But that's something to aspire to.
You know, there's many kids that come here that frankly would never be accepted at another camp just because of the medical challenges that come with them. But you know, our motto here is, hey, it's not if we can do it, it's how are we going to do it and do it as safely as possible.
This allows a child who maybe goes to school and knows no other kids in his entire elementary school and his entire junior high school who ever had gastrointestinal, had Crohn's, who ever had a blood disorder, who was in a wheelchair, who was in a fire and has the scars of being burned. Never met another child in their life that looks like them, that walks the same walk they walk. You come to camp, there's 120 of them walking the same walk.
When I was going to school, it was hard to really imagine having connections with kids because, I mean, kids are mean and they really can be rude, talking about like they're gonna get sick from me or even not even wanting to talk to me, calling me names. Being here at camp, it was amazing to experience that it's not just you out there. There are so many other kids going through the same thing that you are.
So suddenly, they're the majority, not the minority. Suddenly, there's a 6-year-old talking to an 8-year-old and an 8-year-old talking to a 14-year-old who has exactly the same process every day. I get up, I take my medicine, I do this, I do that. There's certain things that they have to do. That's very empowering. That's very empowering for a 7 or 8-year-old. That's very empowering for a 15 or 16-year-old. So I think that's what camp is all about. You send these kids back to their parents, and hopefully when they go back, they're a different child. They have a different outlook on life. They have a positive outlook on life, on where they're at and where things are.
You know, it's really a life-changing deal for these kids because they've been in hospitals or the mother and daddy's got them at home and you can't do this and you can't do that. When they come to the camp, they go swimming, they ride horses, they shoot bow and arrows, they climb deals. I mean, they do things that they've seen their brothers and sisters or people on TV do.
Seeing a camper throw a ball for the first time and see the kids around him, those cabin mates of his be very encouraging of him. The resilience that came out of that and the friendships that grew from that and just that moment, I was really honored to be part of that. As a parent myself, when people talk about raising children, I actually kind of flip that and I think we're raising adults. And I think that this place, this mission, this passion, and all of the generosity of everyone it takes to come together to make camp really does raise confident adults.
Our hardest thing is trying to get rid of them once they get there. None of them want to go home.
I had an opportunity to run some sports car races with Paul Newland. So I knew a little bit more about what was involved with the camp. So I talked to Paul and we talked about it, and he sent some guys and we talked to them about it, and they said they didn't want anything to do with it, that they didn't want Paul's name associated with a camp that might fail. And they said, well, what makes you think you can build a camp? It's going to cost a lot of money. And we said, oh yeah, we got that. But we raise a lot of money just to ride around in circles for a living. So what makes you think we can't raise money to build a camp to do good? So I called Paul that night and told him his guys passed, and he said they might have passed, but I didn't pass. So he was here for the ground opening, and Paul was a great guy, just an incredible guy. I know everyone knows he's an actor. Everyone knows he's an incredible actor, but he was an incredible race car driver. We run at Watkins Glen, we run Daytona in the 24 hours, run Phoenix, we run a number of races together. And just to sit around and talk to him, we talked racing, because that's what he wanted to talk about. That competitive fire was there and it burned all the time. And I think that's the way he approached camp, and that's what made camp so special. Whether you were in a wheelchair, whether you were on crutches, whether you had certain forms of cancer, whether you had blood disorders, no matter what, he wanted you to be able to come and be on a team, and the team was camp. felt like that acting and racing had given him so much. The camp gave him an opportunity, and his organization was a really driving force in keeping us focused and motivated. I grew up in a family that raced. My grandfather raced, my father raced, I raced, and obviously Adam came along and raced. You raced and you did that your whole life, and you chased, run around in circles, and you chased a trophy, and you chased that checkered flag, and you chased fame, you chased so much. And then you realize, in a strange way, your whole life has prepared you to use that as a platform to do something totally different.
I'm a NASCAR fan, so years and years and years of watching the race with my dad and hanging out on Sunday afternoons. I've kind of been adjacent to the sport for a long time and certainly knew of the Petties.
I mean, I've known of the Petties. Everyone knows about them.
This is kind of a payback. And say, okay, we've been so fortunate to be in our position, then a lot of people are not that lucky. I mean, we're from this community, we grew up in this community, the community's been good to us, and we want to be good back to the community.
It's now a platform, and that's what racing is for us. Our life has been a platform to be able to do this.
My wife was really big in this. Anything that sort of went on in the county, she got involved, okay? Man, I can't tell you how many things she got involved in. So she kind of took care of that part of our life. She kind of went down, she had cancer, and for a long time she was slowing down, so then we started the Petty Foundation to pick up her part.
So we started the foundation about the same time we started Victory Junction, shortly after. The family can give to the foundation, and the foundation can give to whatever we support. We give scholarships.
We do a lot of stuff with the Victory Junction, the Paralyzed Veterans of America, and also take care of, if we got a little ball team up here and they need uniforms, and something goes on at the church or whatever.
Through the Petty Family Foundation, we're able to do broader things and give to things that we all believe in.
There was this moment at another camp I was working at, and this kid wrote me a letter like 6 months after being there, and was just expressing like gratitude and like just all these things and how it had changed their life. And I'm like, how did I have that impact? And it just hit me as like, hey, that one moment that I had no idea was planting the seeds that it planted. Like, what if I could make this my life? Well, here at camp we say the days are long and the weeks are short. So like one day it's like at 9 a.m. I'm huddling with my leadership team, and we're talking about, hey, is there anything that happened overnight, any injuries, any risks that we need to address? Obviously, the number one thing is making sure these kids are safe. So it's evaluating all of these facilities, all the things that we're doing day in and day out, from medication distribution to lunch. It's like every year's different, and every season presents a different challenge. I have this analogy that I use with the summer staff when we're training, and it's like, who's your camper? As my career has evolved, starting as a summer camp counselor, my campers were the kids, the kids that were coming to camp at the time, and the inspiration and just the opportunity to teach a kid how to canoe for the first time and steer a boat. Like, there's just such fulfillment that comes from that. So as my career has progressed and I've been able to support staff in a different way, I see them as my campers. So now my camper is our camp director. then his campers are his full-time team. And so those counselors, you know, they come here and they get this amazing experience. And I always say, hey, when you come here, you're probably coming to Victory Junction to work here to make a difference in someone's life. But what really happens every time is that you also have your life changed because of the work that you're doing and the kids that have an impact on you. We hire many former summer staff to be part of the full-time team eventually, and I think it's 30% of our summer staff this summer, they're former campers at Victory Junction. So it's just a legacy that keeps building upon itself. This is like the thing that gets me emotional because, you know, I think about, you know, that 23-year-old, you know, summer staff college student that comes in here and then you see them, you know, transferring a kid that has no mobility in their, you know, extremities or legs or whatever out of a pool into a chair, or feeding them with a spoon at lunch or dinner. And it's like, they have the kid's dignity in their hands, but it's something that's so sacred. Like, it gives me chills just talking about it because it just doesn't happen in the world.
When I actually interned here, which is a new program that they started a few years back, it was so cool to actually be involved with every single week with every different camper that was here with different illnesses or disabilities.
When I came to camp, there was no doubt that I was going to develop these connections and relationships with the campers. But as a parent, I have a deep respect for the counselors and volunteers that come here and spend their time, give their time, take their time, make their time to be with these kids 24/7.
I one day heard about people taking camp to the hospitals, and I was like, you know, we should do that. The thought of, hey, we can do this anywhere. Why aren't we taking it to the kids when maybe they can't make it to us? Or maybe they'll never make it to us for whatever reason. And it's just about making that connection with those kids, giving them 30 to 45 minutes with someone who's not a medical professional. We're not gonna poke them, we're not gonna ask questions. They don't have to talk to us about medical stuff. We can just hang out and play. And we do everything from paint birdhouses to you know, make friendship bracelets and videos for YouTube. So that was the thought, the intentionality is just taking that camp magic that happens here and sharing it in the hospital setting as well. We've built to, you know, now 2 states. We're in most of the children's hospitals in North and South Carolina, and we just added one in Virginia. You know, building that reputation where those hospitals trust, hey, this is a reputable program that's not only gonna just bring something amazing for the kids that are here, but also gonna supplement their staff in times of, you know, everybody's underpaid and overworked at the hospital, right? So supplementing those teams to give them more connection to the kids while they may not be able to make it there.
So I think the aspirations for camp ultimately is to be open, you know, at least 50 weeks a year. To see 120 kids a week, all 50 of those weeks. We'll take off Easter and we'll take off Christmas. We'll take off those 2 holidays. When you look at it, that's always been our goal, and that's what we will always aspire to do, is to bring as many kids through the gate and to hopefully empower these kids just to be kids. Just to be kids, and that's what camp's all about.
I would love to see camp become an all year round thing. I mean, the kids, they need to be served. Honestly, holding on to camp and the hope that it brought and the spirit of camp really kept me alive. Having that possibility would be amazing.
I truly, truly believe in possibility. I truly believe in opportunity. I believe in the mission of camp, and I believe in these kids.
This place brings people to life. Camp has ultimately changed my life, saved my life, and brought me purpose. Any opportunity I have to talk about camp, I always try and bring camp to places.
Look alive, 'cause while I was waiting for you, paradise is
talk about camp and what makes camp camp. And yeah, these buildings and these activity areas, they're amazing. We're so lucky to have the facilities that we have. But really the connection is, and I just heard this from a camper yesterday, the connection is all about the people that are here.
What it is, and I say this, and I will say Victory Junction is just a bunch of buildings, okay, on a piece of land in Randolph County. That's all it is. But when the kids come, and the volunteers come, and the counselors come, it's the center of the universe. And it takes on a life, and it has a heartbeat, and it has a love, and it has a passion, and it has a joy, and it just attracts you.
It's the connection that they make with their counselors. It's the people, it's the connection they make with other kids that, hey, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not the only kid that has cancer. Or, oh my gosh, like there's an adult that talks to me like a person and not a patient. Or I get an opportunity to say no. Even if I don't want to participate in the climbing tower, I can say no to that. Like, it's a place that gives them choice. It gives them the power.
When you see a kid and you're talking to a kid and he's sharing with you something he loves, something he's passionate about, he can't hide that joy. I mean, it's every pore. It's every note of his voice. It's in every breath he takes.
I mean, it's impacted my family, my friends, my fiance. I mean, anyone that knows me knows that camp is home to me, and it always will be. It'll always have the biggest piece of my heart. I mean, bury me with it.
All those wasted miles I rode around in circles finally come back to mean something to somebody. It's crazy to me that everybody in the world doesn't know about it. Because everybody that comes through here sings his praises everywhere they go, which means we just need to get more kids through here. And that's what it's all about.